Another beast right there. Huge. We need 5 points. Play an oyster, get $1. Normally, when you fucking buy an oyster, I think it costs you like... How much is one oyster? I haven't eaten an oyster, I'm going to say since 2018. I'm going to say a half dozen oysters is $20. I think you're paying $3.50 to $4 an oyster. I think about what I said that one time. Every once in a while, if you just talk enough, you'll accidentally say something that's like a trenchant observation. How is it that 6 raw oysters doesn't feel like you're eating that much, but 1 fried oyster is like the biggest meal you've ever had in your entire life? Like 6 oysters is like an appetizer for 2 people. 1 fried oyster on like a bun is, I mean, you got to cut it in half and eat it out of the fridge for a midnight snack. Kind of like that with shrimp too. That's curious. Curious, but not wrong. Because I honestly, I'm prepared for the -2s, and this is how you know I'm being honest with you. It would be so easy to just be like, yeah, I love tempura shrimp. I love tempura shrimp. I'm getting to the point, and maybe it's something to do with whatever's going on with me gastrointestinally, like for life. 1 tempura shrimp, good. When you get the bento box and it's got 2 tempura shrimp, I would rather just have I'd rather have another tempura sweet potato or another tempura squash or a pumpkin or something like that. I just feel like the second tempura shrimp is just, it accrues too much oil. There's too much agglomeration of oil in my gut. Now I recognize they're frying it all with oil, but the oil ratio in the tempura shrimp is like way higher than it is in the tempura sweet potato. Shrimp pisses me off. Speak on that. Don't even think about this one. You take the mirrors any day of the week. Speak on that. What do you, +10 space? Let me guess, some arthropod bullshit. Well, you at least give them a chance to talk before you fill in the blanks for them. Also, I can't help but feel there's a little bit of like, dare I say, and I don't mean this as a pejorative, but it almost sounds like you wrote the comment a little wokely. It seems like you're mad at them for you thinking that they're going to say, I don't want to eat bugs even if they are from the ocean. And I think wokeness is good, but the straw man wokeness, that might be one step too far. Getting mad because you think that he doesn't eat shrimp because eating shrimp is woke. That's too far. But I am straw manning your straw man. And you didn't even have a straw man necessarily. I'm straw manning the existence of the straw man to begin with. The mirror being reflected at me does make me more curious to the original chatter, not gonna lie. The mirror being reflected at me. The mirror being reflected at me. I'm allergic, that's the problem. I would say that's a good reason to not eat shrimp. I do want to say, they do the shrimp in Hawaii, the garlic shrimp, and the sauce is so good, and the shrimp is good. I'll say it. They should take the tail off. In my opinion, they should take the tail off. I've had shrimp almost every single way I could possibly imagine that they could cook a thing that is just like a strip of muscle with a digestive tract associated with it. I think that if you're going to mix the shrimp in with like a stir fry, for lack of a better word, I think you should be taking the shell off, me personally. The tail is for vibe and caution. For caution? What do you mean for caution? The tail's edible? Yeah, but how do they get the poop line out without taking the shell off? I eat the shell when the shell's on. While I'm eating the shell, I'm like, I wish this didn't have the shell. You eat the shell? If the shell's on, yeah. If the shell, I'm not going through shrimp that's coated in sauce and using either like chopsticks or my fucking fingers to rip the shells off when they're covered in sauce. It's disgusting, bro. I'm getting miso and all sorts of shit under my fingernails. Not to mention it's fucking hot, man. Do you eat the shell of a coconut too? You can eat the shell just fine, man. For a seafood boil? Yeah, a seafood boil is hot, but it's not covered in sauce. It's covered in like Old Bay or something like that. You eat the wrapper at Subway? This is interesting to me. Because I thought you were going to be like, no, authentically. Because it doesn't matter if food tastes good. The only thing that matters is whether or not it's authentic. I thought you were going to be like, authentically, Hawaiians eat the shell of the shrimp. So it's -2 because you should be eating the shell of the shrimp because that's the way it's meant to be. But now you're actually hitting me with the chat take that I should have expected, which is shell yucky. If you don't eat the shell, it's basically the equivalent to people who have the crust cut off their sandwiches. One of my favorite stories to tell that I'm gun shy about telling because, I mean, there's nothing, these people didn't do anything evil, but was when we went to a Halloween party at a software company and they ordered a bunch of pizza and then one of the pizza boxes just became like a holder for crusts. It was so fucking funny to me. Seeing a room full of adults where like 50% of people don't eat their crust, but also not just throwing it out or putting it in the compost, but like putting the crust in a pizza box, like maybe someone will come eat the crusts that we didn't want. Like, I don't know if that was the methodology that went behind, or if they were like, this is what we always do, and then someone takes the pizza box full of breadsticks down to the composting area or something, but just throw it away if you don't want it or give it to my wife. Is that the funniest fucking comment of all time or a self-report? I never know, man. I never know. Ladies, if I was gonna say something that was actually gonna make people mad, and now I can't stop myself. It's dangerous, because I was gonna say, ladies, if your husband doesn't eat the crust, you can do better. Or he can do better is also true, which is almost the same thing. If he can do better, you can do better. It's the crust. I mean, I'm not to dredge up my parents' methodology from arguments that happened in the early 1990s, but the crust is made of the same thing as the rest of the pizza. And then the crust of the sandwich is even worse to not eat because the crust is actually the best part of the bread. It's the part of the bread that is the most tasty. To not eat that is insane. Then why do they need the dipping sauce? They don't need the dipping sauce. They invented it for you. I come from a world, at least in Canada, pre-dipping sauce. People were still eating their crusts. The dipping sauce, to me, I remember the first time I ever saw it was at my friend's birthday party in the 8th grade, and his parents were fucking breaded. And I didn't really understand it as a kid, but they had an indoor pool in Ontario, Canada, and then in the room with the indoor pool, it had like fucking 20-foot high ceilings or something like that. You got out of the pool and there was like a loft. You went up a staircase to a loft that had like a big screen TV and a ping pong table and shit. And as a kid, I was like, whoa, this guy's dad must make like 50 grand a year. The older I get, the more I'm like, holy fuck, that's crazy. But I went to his birthday party. They ordered pizza with the fucking dipping sauce. And I was like, oh shit, this is gonna take the world by storm. It probably did. I'm assuming they had it in America in like 1962 or something like that. But we only got it in Canada, or at least where I live in Ontario, in like maybe 2001. I had a friend in university. His claim was that he was only allergic to the tiny shrimp, but not allergic to the big shrimp. We all laughed at him. Turns out it's fucking true, man. You should believe people when they tell you things. Most of the time. The tiny ones are better. Do you work for Sodexo, Gagi? I wish. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I used to work for Sodexo. Godspeed. I acknowledge, you're a hero because in some ways, directly or indirectly, your labor led to me getting fed in my first year of university, which I appreciate, even though it was a ripoff. And probably most of the money went to the executives, if I had to guess. But either way, but also, oh man, these poor like 17, 18-year-olds going to the university cafeteria. Hey, they got shrimp stir fry. Why are all the shrimp this big? Why you only got, but then again, I have to think about the time I broke their toaster like 3 times in 1 week trying to make flatbread nachos. So the Sodexo cafeteria, you have a very limited selection of foods. At some point, you're sick of eating the pepperoni pizza and the canned soup of the day and the hamburgers and the french fries and the shrimp stir fry with the tiny shrimp. So you start doing like the stuff that Disney adults do, where they're like, I go to the Carnation Cafe and get a patty melt, but then I go across the street to the candy store and I get a candy apple, and then I put the candy apple between the 2 grilled cheeses of the patty melt. And long story short, So you did that? Yeah. We took pitas, like the Greek flatbread, and they had those conveyor toasters where you would put a piece of bread on it and it would go over the conveyor, and then it would enter like kind of like the back rooms and it would go, and it would get spat out, flipped over, and get toasted on the other side. So the throughput on that toaster was like at least 5x of what it would be at with a normal default toaster. So one time I said, let's try this. And I put a pita into the toaster and it went through, and then it went to the back rooms. I waited with bated breath. 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Pita gets spat out, perfectly toasted on the one side, goes to the end of the conveyor belt. I pick it up, perfect consistency for pita chips. So then I took some shredded cheddar cheese from the salad bar, sprinkled it on top, made pita chip nachos, brought it back to the cafeteria. I was a fucking king. People were like, oh shit, this is incredible. You've revolutionized the cafeteria for the rest of freshman year. A couple of days later, put the pita into the toaster, goes through the first conveyor belt, enters into the back rooms. I guess it liked it in there because I waited 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then the pita did not come out. But what did come out was like an ever-increasing amount of black smoke. So I went, oh shit, and I just unplugged the toaster and then went back to my seat. And they were like, where's the pita chips? And I was like, oh yeah, they got stuck in the toaster, and now the toaster's like on fire. And then I said, well, it's 50-50. So I did it again like a week later, and it got stuck in the toaster again. So it was really like the first time, it must have just hit the perfect line or something like that. But every subsequent time, I mean, you could get lucky once, let's put it that way. Anything more than that, I wish you the best of luck. Cafeteria is not a roguelike? I didn't even know, at the time, I didn't even know what a roguelike was, man. All I did was play Civilization 2.